everybody, my name is Elvis Abenga. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, practicing with Block Advocates and also affiliated with Vunja Kimya Foundation, which is an organization that seeks to break the silence on sexual and gender-based violence. I am here in the office on an Easter Monday. The reason is I'd like to talk about something that has been happening around social media this past weekend, the Easter weekend. There's been a story that has been making rounds about a particular lady who was violated and sexually abused or raped, even allegedly, by some two gentlemen. And the discussions around the media about this issue leave a lot to be desired. Many people and many users of Facebook and Twitter are asking questions to the victim, like what was she doing with them? Why was she there? What kind of relationship did she get herself into? Was it really rape? And these questions, with all due respect to everybody asking them, are not supposed to be asked to victims. And I'll tell you the reason why. Nobody asks to be raped. Nobody invites rape. Rape is just rape. Under the Sexual Offences Act in Kenya, Section 4, it actually talks about what rape is. The moment somebody penetrates the genital organs of another person with their own genital organs without that person's consent, then that is rape. And when we are talking about consent, when consent is obtained by force or coercion or intimidation, then rape still happens. Now, let's talk a little bit more about this whole idea of consent, just to educate everybody to know what we are talking about. The moment a lady or even a gentleman says no, and then the other person or the other partner continues, regardless of that, to continue penetrating that other person's genital organs with their own genital organs, then that is rape. Situations have arisen in the past where you find, for instance, commercial sex workers, where you find a gentleman or let's use men for an example. A gentleman decides to take a commercial sex worker and negotiates a good rate, gets into a room, for instance, and they actually conduct the sexual act. And in the middle of the act, the lady says no, like I've had it. And then the gentleman continues. After that no has been said, rape has happened. The moment consent has been withdrawn in any way, and then this other person continues penetration, then rape has happened. So when we actually talk about asking the victim questions like, what were you doing in that room with this man? How did you bring yourself? Why were you dressed the way you were dressed? Those are irrelevant questions regarding rape, and you cannot ask them. Because could be they were in a relationship, could be they were doing things that were consensual, but then at some point the lady was like, I'm not doing this anymore, and the gentleman decided, like, I'm still doing it. So that, if that was the case, then rape is deemed to have happened. I'll take a minute or two to actually talk to the victims of sexual offenses and rape. Please break the silence. If you've been a victim, the first thing that you need to do is to make a report. As soon as you can, go to a police station, fill in a report. The police officers will help you fill a police 3 form, which you take to the nearest health center for purposes of the medical team actually taking charge of the situation and collecting samples for examination and actually treating you. Many victims feel some sort of dirtiness, and they just want to wash away, to take a shower and live life like nothing ever happened. When you do that, you actually destroy critical evidence that is not supposed to be destroyed, and it actually prevents the accused or the aggressor from facing justice in this case. Now, sometimes I understand victims usually get discouraged by the system. For instance, where you find police officers who've been previously accused of victimizing the victim, for instance, talking about asking those very questions that we've said shouldn't be asked to the victims, or pointing the victim to be blamed for that act which they suffered from. If you feel like you're not strong enough to go by yourself, you could actually ask somebody to go with you. And studies have shown that the moment a victim goes to make a report accompanied by either your friend, a close friend, or a relative, or someone you trust, then the authorities take matters a little bit more seriously. And you actually get this report written, and then get an OB number. And once you have that OB number, the officer commanding the police station actually appoints an officer who is actually called the investigating officer, whose work is to walk with you to come get the witnesses in that case, collect all evidence, all reports, and prepare the case to go for trial. And then once the investigations are complete, the accused person is arrested, and then the formal court process actually begins. It is really important to speak out, and speak out, because the only way we can stop rape in this country is by speaking out, making sure these guys, these ladies, because ladies also rape men, these perpetrators of these sexual offenses are brought to book. At Vunja Kimya, we are there to offer you support in such situations. You can check us out on Vunja Kimya on our social media pages, or you can get in touch with us through the Biggest Law Offices and Chambers Advocates social media page. If you feel like you need representation in the police station as a victim, we are there to help you in this process. Let's speak out. Let's not blame the victims. There is nothing like contributory rape. Rape is just rape.